here in Marion on December 14th.
Oh, okay.
I brought up a 28-foot trailer, probably 3/4 full.
Oh, wow.
Met with Kim Allison.
Yeah.
Topped it off. Came over here. Craig, I can't pronounce his last name. Sorry, Craig. Came down from wherever he came down from. Sorry, buddy. Ohio, Michigan, Minnesota. I don't remember.
Somewhere cold.
And we all met down here, and we filled that building up. And the looks on those kids' faces was priceless.
Yeah.
You know, and if anything, Easter's coming.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of folks, a lot of parents can't afford Easter baskets.
Yeah.
So I'll put it out there. Call it an Easter basket challenge.
Yeah.
Everybody, if they want to donate some nice, not the little ones, some nice Easter baskets for the kids, and send them to a local church. You know, let them all go to a local church. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Fill them up.
New challenge.
Yeah.
Because I know we're going to be in Hot Springs they're going to do an Easter egg hunt and
Correct.
everything like that. And then we're going to, the weekend before, help Vet Shine out of, and they're at T-Birds up in Weaverville.
Correct.
They're going to do that, and they're looking to do 400 baskets. So, you know, it's like every weekend we try to be somewhere to feed.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. We feed the people. You know, like this weekend, it's going to be in Irwin, Tennessee. But guys, Irwin, Tennessee got hit hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
That's where a lot of it started.
It
right?
really got hit hard. I know they're giving away propane and kerosene this weekend. And about every weekend, there's a propane exchange somewhere. And these people are, you know, you got local companies like from Hickory. I know Bumgarner Propane did one.
Right.
We were at in Weaverville a couple weeks ago. But guys, Rodney's right. Do your homework.
Just do it.
Do your homework. Vet these people before you give them your money.
Yes.
You
Kinda
know,
like would you
people,
vet who you're going to work for, who you're going to date, who you're going to hire? It's the same
exactly.
thing.
It's the same way. It's sort of like when, you know, when Josh and Rodney and all of us met this past week. Okay, Sonny, we've got 400 pounds of meat for you. Okay, well, we've smoked it and we're going to give it all away this weekend. You know, but when you're donating your hard-earned money, make sure who you're donating it to.
Yeah.
Make sure
Please.
it's a legitimate company who's, you know, you take Justin from the National Mental Health Alliance, or you take the guys from the Northern Alliance, or you take, you know, Ashley's, or you take Rodney's, you know, pay it forward.
Or
you know?
Sonny.
You take
Loving
it,
Hearts
you know,
Prayer
or-
Closet of Marion. I have
There you
to
go.
plug it.
There you go. See, that's what I'm talking about. You know, the
We
thing
are
about it is,
501c3.
Lots of choices there.
they really are. There's a lot of good choices, and guess what, guys? All of us could be doing something a lot different, and that's bringing money into your own pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, instead, I know our restaurant got shut down because 221 did.
Yeah.
We were at Banks Creek Barn. Well,
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
yeah, we were doing, you know, 1,500 plates a weekend.
Mm.
And people up there catching trout in the whole 9 yards. But you know, my wife and I talk about this all the time. We're doing God's work now.
Yes.
That's right.
You know,
right.
and I don't take that lightly when I say that I'm doing God's work,
Right.
or Rodney's doing it, or
Right.
Ashley's doing it, or you guys are doing it. The thing about it is, guys, all you got to do is watch a couple videos. If you have a question, tell them you want to pick up the phone and call them.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you're gonna know. You're gonna know if you smell bullshit or not.
Yes.
Right. That's
You know,
right.
are these people really? Are they boots on the ground? And they got mud on their truck?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are they doing?
Yeah.
I promise you, my poor wife is going to kill me at some point because I've abused her car and it's dirty from the inside to the outside. And I said, you know, at some point we'll take it to the car wash, but you know that's
It's just it'll rain as soon
it's
as you
going to
get
rain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully it
there you
does.
go.
You know, that's what it's going to do. But you know, I couldn't have asked for a better Saturday last week.
That was
Because
awesome.
we started hanging out with Justin and Josh and Rodney, and me and my wife were up there, and we were picking up stuff, and they were delivering tiny homes. And then we all met over in Hot Springs
Yeah.
and had a big meal. You know, and watching one of the guys said, he goes, you're going to meet all kinds of people here in Hot Springs. He said, you're
You
going
weren't
to
wrong.
And he wasn't wrong. I mean, they were people with piercings and tattoos and guns on their belt and knives and hammers and all kinds of stuff. And then you have these people who look like they just came off the golf course. But they were all sitting around eating together,
That's
Right.
beautiful.
breaking bread, guys.
And the energy was amazing over
It,
there.
it really
amazing.
was. It was. It
The
was
kids all got
phenomenal.
along. The dogs even got along.
Wow.
I mean, everybody got along. It was just like when you pulled onto this property, it was just like you didn't have a care in the world.
Right.
It was gone.
That's
Wow.
beautiful.
That is. That really is.
And that's something that I've tried to hit home to people as well. Is like, when this all started, obviously the political climate was really, it was before election time and everything. So it was a rough time for that. But when things like this happen, politics and all that stuff, like, it doesn't come into play anymore when you're talking about saving someone's life
right.
or helping
That's
them.
right. Yeah.
So, I don't care. I'm not going to see you floating down a river and reach my hand out and say, wait, who are you voting for?
Exactly.
Before I reach my
Right.
hand out to pull you up, I'm going to pull you up.
Yeah,
And
that's a
then you
good
pull me
point.
under while I'm doing, we're going to try to pull us both up. I mean, and that I think is a really important thing that people need to remember, because even though we are past election now and, things have changed and are changing, and a lot of us like it, some people don't, we still are human beings, and there are people hurting, people that need help, and none of that should matter or should even be thought about when you're trying to help these people, no matter who they are. So
It's not our job to judge.
exactly.
And mentioning God's work, it's like,
Yeah.
where we're from, it's, of course, there are Christians there, there's people, there's believers, but
We're from Detroit, Michigan.
in all honesty, it's
Cool.
it's not. It's almost laughed at for you to be a religious person up there. So to see it down here, and I've gotten, you get a little moody and emotional sometimes with this stuff, but I've gone off on a few people both in person and online. There's the one guy who actually turned out to be one of my customers, but he probably won't ever be again.
Yeah.
But he was, he went on Facebook and he was like, "Is there anybody I can give to that isn't gonna force you to have you pray over them and try to convert you into their religion and this, that, and the other?" And I went off and I said, "But you know what? Rather than telling you they're not really doing that, I'm going to say that when I was out there and saw the first people that were responding and helping, every one of them trailers had a cross on it. They had some kind of bumper sticker, had something to do with Jesus Christ." And, and I know what this guy represents. So I named a bunch of groups that weren't here helping. Just because your group has a name doesn't mean that it's valid as a group that contributes. I'm sorry, it is what
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I may cut this part out later, but I didn't see any big trailers full of supplies and people to help dig people out that had a rainbow on it.
Or BLM.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that there was a lot of these people with that negative attitude that was
But
like,
if those people were around and needed help,
oh yeah, it
They're
wouldn't make a
gonna get the
difference.
help.
That's what I
Gonna
mean.
help
It wouldn't
'em.
make a difference.
Still
Nobody's.
gonna feed them. Still gonna put them in a tiny home.
absolutely.
And I've seen.
Put them in a
Absolutely.
camper.
I think I'm more just inspired by it, that I had faith up there, but I came down here and it's grown a lot.
That's what a lot of people
The
say.
way that I've seen
Yeah.
people, because people have more faith in their family and roots in it here and everything, and I've watched the churches do amazing things. I've seen these people get together and pull off almost like superhuman things to help people in
Right.
God's name. Like you said, it's they don't take it lightly.
Well, I firmly believe, and I feel it in my heart of hearts. This is all written already.
I think
Yes.
so,
We're
100%.
We're just doing what we're supposed to do. Don't fight it. You know what I'm saying? I tell people, if you want to donate somewhere, pick wherever it's at. Do your thing. You want to donate your time? Come donate your time. You want to
That's right.
donate product? Donate product.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you're drawn to do in your heart, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. If you don't want to help, you don't feel like it, fine. Stay home, read a book, watch TV, whatever.
Right. We had
You know?
so many volunteers who came down who weren't, they believed, but they weren't really active in their faith. And they said God was just on their heart and told them to come here. Like we were saying, just just dropped everything and came down here.
Yep.
That is God working.
Correct. It
You're
is.
not putting any of your worldly worries above what's happening. You're
Absolutely.
risking.
God's people are on the move.
Absolutely. So
Children,
it's impressive. I believe that it was written that way. I'm into a lot of that stuff, which is a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
But
We talked a little bit about this.
I'm considered what's called like a Christian apologetic, meaning I study a lot of the translations and things like that, and relics and different anthropology in different places to kind of just call it fact-based faith is what I would call it. The Wes Huff type stuff. Have you seen that recently? The guy who basically pretty much converted Joe Rogan into a Christian finally
Mm-hmm.
by going on his podcast.
Yep.
You know,
Amazing.
things
Yeah.
like that have been happening for the last few years that would be written about in history books. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So
That's
this-
where I go is books, actual books,
Yeah.
tangible
Yes.
books.
and this
Yeah.
is where that it's very obvious that things are written, like you said, like it is
Right.
written already, and it just depends. I don't think that the ending can change, but I do think some of the scenes leading up to the ending of the film can change. They can be better for some of the people on set. Put it that way, you know, that's the way I see it without a good explanation. But
Right.
Yeah.
you mentioned Irwin. That jumps out at me because at the beginning of this, any of you guys familiar with Bear Independent,
No.
Grindstone Ministries?
Hmm.
It's a group. Well, Bear Independent's a guy, but it's a group. Grindstone Ministries. They're out of Oklahoma, where they've always done disaster relief for like tornadoes and stuff. But they've done. I think they did Katrina, just all the big disasters. The first place they came here, the day it happened, was Irwin. And according to him, there is a neighborhood. Well, I know there's a neighborhood, but I don't know if it's there anymore. It depends on. He said that there's a place called Little Germany in Irwin, Tennessee, that was just gone. When he got there, it was God. What was the number? It was 62 homes or something like that, and at the end with people in them, and at the end of it there was something like 20, and they were all kind of trapped in this community by trees and stuff like that, couldn't get any help. And basically he was saying the fatality number that you're hearing for this entire thing was in that little neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just that.
Just that alone.
This the first day, that neighborhood, and it's really her and I have a big problem with how certain things are downplayed in this situation, because those are human beings that deserve for their name and their existence to matter.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And honestly, a lot of people here aren't making a big enough deal about it.
Well,
they're kind of
Because they're
just
just buying whatever they're being told, you know. So
yeah.
so
there's
it is
the
a thing
number.
where it's like maybe they're not communicating even with people around them or in the next town over or whatever.
Right.
Well, at the beginning of it, you couldn't.
Oh, right.
Right.
There was
You know,
no
you-
communication.
that was a thing. People weren't seeing this for weeks. Really, they saw the same handful of videos because nobody had internet or phone.
Right.
Even
People
here in
still
Marion,
don't.
I didn't.
Right.
You know, I couldn't call anyone. I work
Yeah.
in Hickory, so for 17 days I had no phone until I was halfway into Morganton.
Right.
You know, and there was no internet around here. So then all of a sudden the pictures and the videos started, you know, hitting social media weeks and weeks in, and by then people were on to the next thing.
Right.
Like you said, it was the election, but also
Right.
it
Yep.
was Florida, and now it's California.
Yep.
And I ran those numbers that we didn't put out yet because we
Mhm.
ran out of storage space and we were doing a video. But I worked out the amount of money that it would take to rebuild everything that was destroyed here versus some of these other places, and what was actually allotted to each place. And
Yes.
it was unbelievable to where in Lahaina at the end of it, you had an average of something like $3 million per home is what ended up being paid out, whether it was rebuilding homes, this, that, and the other, whatever it is, incidentals. So, and each property is worth just under $3 million. So it's kind of like you replaced every property.
Right.
And then there's a couple others, but when it came to here, the amount was lesser than there. When that was something like, I may be wrong, but was it 9,000 homes, or maybe it was 5,000, but whatever it was, here it was
It was a lot less. than
150,000 or 160,000 or something, and then you had the same amount of funding or less, was what was just unbelievable to me. and people have filled that gap, which is amazing and inspiring, but at the same time it's also unfair. Even now all I hear about is the Palisades.
Yeah.
And you know, it sounds petty, but when they start talking about that, like on PBD today, they started talking about that, and I had to skip the next chapter
Yeah.
because I was just like, I don't want to
It's
hear
like
about
the
this.
communities
This
that
isn't
have a
over
lot
yet.
More money,
Right.
they get
Right.
more.
And not as much
Yeah.
destruction. Like we did
Right.
the podcast where I totaled up the amount of square miles, and kind of the circle of disaster here was over 14,000 square miles, is bigger than Switzerland.
Wow.
You know, versus however big the neighborhood in
I have
Palisades.
no
The
idea.
Palisades, you could literally fly a helicopter over it and get everything in one frame that got
Yeah.
destroyed.
Right.
Whereas
I mean-
here, oh my God,
I mean,
it's
we
You could fly
don't-
for hours.
We don't downplay other people's, you know, tragedies.
no,
I
no.
mean,
If it sucks, it
it's
sucks.
not.
Like, for
It's
the individual.
horrible, and you know, we obviously feel terrible for people that you know are going through something like that because we know what it's like now.
But it never happens here.
It just
We don't get
yeah.
hurricanes in the mountains.
No,
It's-
that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean that's why it. I know people probably will take it as us being kind of like rude or you know having a poor attitude about it when we say things like it kind of makes me mad when I see them talking about the Palisades versus us. Like, hey, what about us? But there's a reason for that. You know, it's not to say, oh, screw you guys and your you know your misery. It's just it's different here. It doesn't happen here.
And it was so much bigger here.
And yeah, I mean,
And it's kind of like, I guess it's childish, but I feel like we haven't solved this one yet to move on to talking about the second one.
yeah.
Well, third, because, you know, Florida got hit
Florida got
a couple days
hurricane.
later or whatever.
A week
Yeah.
later.
Went right
Yeah.
over my house before it came here. Literally.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's just one of those things. There's a lot of emotion stored up, and somebody like me, I don't let it out very much. But then we start getting deep into talking about it, and it's like, damn, you know. It's
And
just,
now we just had the
it's-
fire that in Old
Oh
Fort
my
Right.
came through,
gosh.
and it stopped like right in my grandfather's
Would-
field on my property.
Oh,
Do you
really?
remember
Yeah.
the fire in Buck
That
Creek?
was so scary.
There was a giant wildfire in Buck Creek
Yes.
right
Yeah,
at
yeah.
like what was it, a month into the disaster?
No, it was like a month ago, I think.
No,
Wasn't
no,
it?
no,
2
no.
months
The
ago?
first one
The
was
first, yeah.
remember because
was it?
we went there and we
Oh.
took pictures of how the entire community was
yeah, it
gone.
was right after.
And everything was just soaking wet. And like 2 days later, there was this giant wildfire. Remember, it didn't make sense to me.
yeah.
And it was supposedly an electrical line. And I was bothered by that because the one thing that I noted in the video, because it was eerie, all these houses were empty.
Yep.
But they had brand new electrical lines running to them. So it was like, okay, they're like trying to rebuild these, sell them, whatever. It was just weird to me that there was these brand new lines and no one in the houses.
Right.
So I made a note of it and whatever, and I was like, oh, they're trying to rebuild. But then these brand new lines fell down and started this giant, what ended up being hundreds of acres fire in Buck Creek, and then
I'm
there's
not
this
sure
other
how
one
big
here, and
was.
it just seems like a lot in a row. That's all I'm saying. In a very
Yeah.
short amount of time that normally
When there
doesn't
was
happen.
no wind or anything to make
Right.
it go down.
Well, the day the fire happened in Old Fort, there was 3 other fires that same day, all within
Right.
about 2 hours of each other.
Yeah.
Because I actually got a phone call to go haul campers out of a campground that was in a line of fire. At
Hmm.
10:30 one night, they come knocking on my camper. Hey, can you get ready to go?
Oh man.
Luckily, they got it under control. We didn't have to leave and go do that. But there was several fires, so
And there was one on 221 a few hours after
Correct.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
there was-
nuts.
There was 3 of
Me
us.
It's like,
and
where are these?
Danielle were
What
headed
was the
out, and
source of
then
this?
That
Like,
happened.
Nobody
They said the power
Supposedly.
line was down.
Yeah,
That's
by
what they said about
tree.
the one.
Yeah.
it's always convenient.
it's exactly. It's weird.
If you want to help people, get with a nonprofit, get with a for-profit company, whatever. And I would tell them, hey, I challenge them, come down for a week, take
Yeah.
your week vacation, and reach out to somebody and come down for a week. You know, bring 8 or 10 volunteers with you. There is plenty to
Plenty
do.
to do.
Oh,
Plenty.
endless.
Isn't it amazing? Like you guys were saying that so many people have come down here. They're basically here permanently. Previous to that, so many people were coming to North Carolina for other reasons, whether it be job, cost of
Right.
living, the beauty of everything here. Now you're gonna have like a whole generation of people who came here to help people.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
That's-
starting
Right.
a whole new culture and
That's great.
yeah.
That's one of the silver linings, and I always touch on this whenever I can because I think it's important. The silver lining of this disaster is, seeing how people can really come together. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I never thought in my life that I would ever feel at home or call anywhere else home besides Detroit, Michigan, even when it was terrible. And we've lived here for almost 5 years, and I know without a doubt that this is where I'm supposed to be, that God put me here in this exact place, with the people that I have met since the disaster and the people that I continue to meet. I mean, the connections that I've made. I mean, me and Ashley are like separated at birth, I swear. So, I mean, just that's the silver lining for me, and I think it is for a lot of people, just to see that there is still true goodness in humanity.
And there's community.
Yeah.
Sociologically, it's like nobody knows anybody in America.
Yeah,
you
because
don't know
you
your
spend all
neighbor.
your time online. You don't know
and
your neighbors.
you
don't.
didn't grow up where you live usually either.
Mhm.
So here you actually had some roots like that where people have been here for generations, and now you actually see a community,
Yeah.
and that's impressive to me. Like,
And I just found out that I know who he is and didn't even know I knew.
Exactly. Exactly.
everyone's connected somehow, and it's like a beautiful thing.